versus hood traps, and why financial literacy is one of the most radical acts of social justice we've got. And trust me, this conversation is about to get real. Literacy is one of the most radical acts of social justice that we have. And trust me, this conversation is about to get real. It's about to go down. Because half the stuff we grew up thinking was normal was actually a financial setup. I know that was me.
And the other half was just being hood creative with no resources.
Boom. And most people think they're doing something with their tax refund.
And that right there is why we're having this conversation.
Exactly. So I'm here with Chris, Eve, Shanah, on my real life fam bam, and we're breaking down the money myths we inherited, the traps we survived, and the wealth we're building on purpose. Because once you learn the game, you stop playing yourself. Boom. So welcome back to the Melanin Movement, where we talk legacy liberation and the lies that the hood and the church taught us about money.
What about taking out student loans? That's it. We can end that session right now. That's it. Taking out student loans. That's been the biggest setback.
Student loans are and they have no place in modern society. There, I said it.
What about you thinking every time that your hand itch that you gonna get some money? I'm like, why am I? Every time my hand itch, I think, all right, Lord, I'm getting some money.
Hey,
I'm gonna win me some money.
I'm gonna win me some money.
I've been 4 out of 4. I've been 4 out of 4 this year. I'm telling you.
Things like FanDuel. I know some family members that got me into that and had me losing all kind of money. I'm not going to say which family members it is.
You was just throwing willy-nilly bets out. That was your problem. We didn't give you the bets.
FanDuel and what's the other one? MGM.
MGM.
Hey.
Timeshares. That's
payday loans.
Yeah.
Payday loans is a huge one. Even going to the check cashing place. Remember when we would go to the check cashing place back in the back? Because a lot of black people don't believe in going to banks. They rather put their money under their mattress or put it in their brassiere.
I still put my money in my Look, I got high weapons of mass destruction.
You can hide that you trying to get from Iran.
Hide it.
Shane, take it out and put it on the counter. You be like, ugh.
That was way back when we used to have cash all the time, but now, everything is an app.
Well, we also did not know about credit growing up. Like, I think a lot of us that grew up in the inner city, aka Brooklyn, actually all of us, Chris always likes to say that he was born in Jersey.
He was, but you went to school.
Shame on me for stating a fact. I don't.
Anytime I like to talk about, Brooklyn or whatever, growing up in Brooklyn, or we grew up in Brooklyn, he's just like, well, I was born in Jersey, instead of just being like, yeah, I did go to school.
But right,
I hear that all the time. I've literally never refuted me going to school in Brooklyn ever.
He does talk about playing football in a suit
on concrete. A suit jacket in the top and a button-up shirt.
Yeah. That's something to brag about. Yeah, all right.
Listen,
Talk
You
about
had that was the hard knock life. Didn't that teach you how to live in both worlds?
Name me 5 other children that played football in loafers and a blazer. Name me 5 other children that weren't Jewish. Go ahead.
five,
Go ahead.
five,
Go
five
ahead.
kids, five, five kids from
Um, you,
61.
I can name all the kids. Ante,
five of them 61.
we'll talk about that later. But pay their loans, and you know what was another trap? That rent to own, like the furniture stores or any of the rent to own stuff. The subprime auto loans where no credit check, you'll drive off, and then your APR be like through the roof. You paying like $20,000 a month Subaru, and we didn't know no better.
I remember the catalogs my grandmother, God rest her soul, like had. Like you would buy.
What was the name of that
I
catalog?
don't remember. We'd have to ask mommy.
Cause used to get stuff from there all the time.
We would. The catalog would be, and I'm just using this as an example. The catalog would have a toaster, but then by the time you finish paying the 4 or 5 payments, I'm like, you done paid $1,000 for this damn toaster
that you could have got for $25 from Best Buy.
Well, back then it was A&S.
BC Richards.
Some and Alexander's and what was it? Woolworths.
I mean, for a lot of us, learning how to manage money was knowing which bodega had the lowest cost bacon, egg, and cheese, or a ham and cheese sandwich on a Hero with a 50-cent soda. We knew which store to go to know, okay, if we go to this store, we know we're going to get this sandwich. We know we're going to cake. We can get a couple Chico sticks, a couple bags of seeds, you know what I'm saying? A couple Nihilators, 50-cent soda, and a Hero. Now they doing chopped cheese. I don't know nothing about chopped cheese. But I don't know nothing about chopped cheese.
No.
She left Brooklyn.
I left Brooklyn by then.
All of us, so.
Oh my God, you're missing out.
I know. So sorry, go ahead.
No. But I was gonna say, if you think about it, financial things need to be taught. Like how many people, again, I'm saying how old I am, you were never taught how to them to write a check, to put the cents over the 100 and
the
then
100
add it, and people didn't.
Little things like that. And it's crazy how us growing up in the public school system within New York City, we were not taught anything about financial literacy. Nothing. Zilch, zero. Stingy with De Niro. But in my son's school, he actually has an entrepreneur class.
Times have changed.
Like an entrepreneur, real life, and obviously his school is primarily of the other persuasion, but just the juxtaposition of how we grew up and then how he's grown up, realizing that redlining was and is still a thing, and how they do us with buying homes, like moving out here, and seeing how many people, and they mowing their lawn and take it, and I'm just like, and then you see trees, you see all these trees. We grew up in a concrete jungle, and I'm just like, this is not something that we even thought was attainable, because If they grew up in Brooklyn, they'd be like, nah, I'm gonna buy a house in Brooklyn. You buy a house in Brooklyn, that house is like $1 million and you have no backyard. You have
Nothing. You're
nowhere
looking
to
at
park.
bricks.
Exactly.
Oh, parking is crazy. Oh my god.
You have nowhere to
It's
park,
horrible.
and you're literally
Congested.
on top of your neighbor. So just even knowing how, because my husband and I were actually talking about, I wanted to change the outside of the house. I wanted to get new siding for the house. And I was like, yeah, that definitely, it will boost up the equity in the house and da 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 da. And he was just like, yeah, but if this is not our forever home, you don't put money in, and then when you're ready to sell, you don't get it back in the sale. And I'm just like, yeah. But then I'm just like, when we do have an appraiser come, we're going to have our next door neighbor come and be us, so that the appraiser won't lowball us on the cost of on the value of our house. Isn't that correct? Like in 2026,
Yeah.
if we decide that we're going to sell this house, we're going to have, and he's our man, 50 grand. But he's a Caucasian man, but he would have to come over here and stand in and be us in order to
everything that even
take out all of our cultural or ethnic whatever in the house, so that they just see it as a house.
A house, right?
And that's in 2026. So, who learned about credit, and how did you learn about credit? The first time you learned about credit?
I think maybe college, because I went to school here, so I didn't have to go away and take out student stuff and all that. I got, what was it called? FAFSA, all that stuff. So I didn't have to do like big loans and stuff. So I think it was college that I was just like, oh, okay. Then it was just like, oh, you gotta pay back.
Because they'll give you everything. They'll be like, what you want, MasterCard, Visa, here you go. Discover. Everybody get a card.
Another card? No, I do not want another card. No, thank you.
Every
I'm trying to get all of my cards. I
forgot what store it is.
When I go to TJ Maxx or Marshall, they always be like, you want to sign up? I'll be like, no, I don't need nothing else. I got to staple stuff onto my credit report. I don't need nothing else coming onto my credit report.
I'll be like, no, thank you.
No, I tell them the whole story. I'd be like, I got to staple stuff onto my credit report. You ain't going to have me. No, thank you. They'd be like, okay, ma'am. I know they'd probably be like, this heifer crazy. But no.
I remember one time Chris came home, and he was just like, why y'all didn't tell me about this being an adult? He was like, I got credit card debt. I gotta pay bills. I gotta put gas in the car. Like, why y'all didn't tell me about this?
There's this guy, he's one of my friends just sent me a video. It's on Instagram, and it's a black man, his black young man. He's in a classroom and everything, and he's talking about life. And he put adulting. I think he put adulting.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. And he was just like, I promise you, once you become an adult, you're not gonna have anything. But I was just like, and my friend was just like, what do you think about this? I was like, you know what? We need more classes like this. We need more classes like this, because not for nothing, you're gonna have a rude awakening when you hit adulthood and you realize everything got an interest rate. Everything has an interest rate. Everything has an interest rate. And a high one too.
And knowing when to buy, so that your interest rate is not astronomical. Knowing how to watch the Federal Reserve and what's going on with them, to know how that's going to now affect you. Chris and I were talking about teaching kids trade, teaching kids financial literacy, teaching kids about agriculture and stuff like that. because we don't have that in our communities, unfortunately. And wealth is power. I don't care how you shake it or move it. Wealth, you can buy judges, you can buy district attorneys, you can buy prosecutors. Literally.
You could buy a president.
Child. Message.
And message. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
Wealth equals options. So, what are some things that watching can do so that they don't get sucked into the predatory loans or don't get sucked into that trap that everybody gets sucked into because they're young?
I would say the first one, because I see, especially living in my neighborhood, what they do. If your living situation is not horrible where you could tolerate your parents, stay at home as long as you can and save up as long as you can. Put it in a high yield savings account, put it in a high yield checking account so it could grow as time moves on, because it's real out here in the streets. Roth IRAs, everything, and especially life insurance. Like life insurance is one of the biggest things.
Whole
You know
life,
what I'm saying?
whole life, especially because you can borrow against it. If y'all need a whole life insurance broker, I know some people that are licensed, certified insurance brokers. Y'all could hit me up and I'll give you the names. But somebody I trust with my life. That was a good one, Eve. That whole life insurance, a lot of these companies, that's how they built their wealth on insurance policies. A lot of these Fortune 500 corporations.
And even with parents, right? I'm going to give them a task too. If you are, I know times are hard and, every penny counts, but if you're able to, and if you're teaching responsibility to your kids and charging them like, oh, you live in here every month, I need this out of your paycheck and everything, put it aside so when they do move out, you're able to present them with something that they could get something to stand on firm and have a foundation, because it takes a team, and the other people do it. And that's how we get set back a lot of times, especially in this neighborhood. You just see them all up in one house. Just everybody coming out. You feel like, how many people just came out of the house?
What is
Y'all
it,
had a party?
I will say I've been seeing more and more people do that with their kids. They ask them for a certain amount each month, and then when they're ready to them to move out, they say, here is the 10,000 or like how much ever it was that they saved for them. So it's like are their own kids' bank account.
Right. Because not for nothing, it's also teaching them responsibility at the end of the day. So
and I mean, the great thing is there are people out there now who do look like us, who are teaching financial literacy in schools and things like that. There are people now, because I think when you know better, you do better. So now people know, so they're like, I'm going to give the kids now what I didn't get, because now I know, now I'm a financial advisor, or I know what my family went through, so I'm going to teach the others. There are more well-known Black-owned banks, so it's just like now it's really up to us to do our own research.
Chris, what I always tell you about moving out.
I would assume the sentiment regarding around staying as long as I can until I can financially support myself. Unless you're looking for something specific, I don't
Or until you can do what for yourself?
own property, I suppose.
You can buy your own property.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Because in my opinion, a lot of our children, we move out because I just got to get out. I got to get. But then you're going and you're pouring money into someone else's vision and purpose. You know what I'm saying? Now you're renting from somebody else. When if you wanted to, then just get that money and build with your parents. Unless it was an abusive, if it's an abusive situation, then all right, you got to go. But if it's just the fact that you want to put your name on an orange juice, sit yourself down and just deal with it until, you know what I mean? Because I just think that a lot of us, we rent. And that is our, and there's nothing wrong with renting, but you're literally pouring into someone else's vision and you're giving someone else that money. One of the other things that I wanted to discuss was the church and how we were with church and giving. Now I know the scripture says, give and I'll give it back to you, pressed down, shaken together, running over, right? But a lot of times there have been leaders that have asked your rent or saying put it on your credit card or whatever. And a lot of times when we go through our canceled checks or our statements at the end of the month, all our money is going to the church and we don't have anything to show for it as far as in our personal lives. Now, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to give to the Lord. Give unto God. But be mindful, be careful. And know when you're sowing on fertile ground. Generational wealth. So what does generational wealth actually mean?
That you leave money for the next, or leave some type of wealth for who's next. So then they can then build on there, and then they can then leave for their kids, and then it keeps going. What's the Beyonce song? She said something like, "My great grandkids is already rich."
And she means it too.
Right.
I know she meant that with her heart.
She meant that.
So it's just, that's what it is. It's making sure that the family name, like when I leave this earth, I gotta make sure that Chris is good. What? Why your face look like that?
Thank you, Eve. You understand?
I was just like, actually, I'm the
Well,
next
my bad.
generation, but like I was just like, actually, I'm the next generation, but I ain't going.
Like you talking about Chris?
Nigga, me. No, I'm just playing.
That's what I was trying. That's what I was going with it.
I was like,
That's what
hold
I was
on.
going with it. Sure.
Nah, for sure, though, for sure.
My stuff is already written out and planned.
Think about it. When the people them on Juneteenth came and be like, nigga, y'all free, right? Y'all free. Go be free. We left out of slavery with nothing but the clothes on our backs. They did not give us anything so that we can cultivate, so that we can monetize. Nothing. We was left with nothing, and we had to make something out of nothing. So not even 200 years later, right? We have black billionaires. We have black millionaires. We have black thousandaires. But there was a time when we didn't have that. So we have come a long way within a short period of time, but we still have a long ways to go. So part of generational wealth is knowing assets versus
A liability.
a liability. Thank you. Asset versus liability. Knowing what is an asset and knowing what is just damn near liability.
And that comes with people too.
Yeah.
Ah,
'Cause your money could be messed up, but with a liability.
Well, that's a
So,
different show. That's a that's a different show.
child. Credit. There are financial gurus that say for everything is where I do. I don't use any of my own money. I purchase everything through credit. Some people do that. A lot of the wealthy people, they just put everything on what they feel they're going to have. So they this bank and they borrow from that bank, and whether or not they pay it back, oh well, I just file bankruptcy and I'll start again. But we don't really think like that. And just knowing what credit is and how to utilize credit to our advantage is also something that we definitely need to do.
We're using the wrong credit.
Explain, Lucy.
Um, so you said those business guys, they don't use like credit that has tied to their name. They use business credits. So to avoid us personally becoming bankrupt, we need to start having like getting LLCs. And then from there they get trusts, and then they have their money go to their trust, which allows them to pay their employees and et cetera. They do their donations, which is also a tax write-off and et cetera. So like they never their network never get touched. It's the business. So they always use their business credit to buy all those things, and they say this is part of my brand, so this is how I could get, excuse me, a write-off from that. So we're using the wrong credit, so that's why we're losing. We're using personal credit where, you know,
Yep.
it doesn't get us nothing. Business credit can get you more. You can get if your business is doing somewhat decent, you can still get a line of credit for over 50K, So compared to you doing that with your personal loan, I mean personal credit, you're gonna get like what, less than $5,000, So
But
we're
that's
just
just
using
the
the wrong
thing,
credits.
though. When getting money for your business, getting loans for your business, your credit has to be above a 640, I believe, 630, 640, or something like that. And a lot of us be like, is that a BMW? Because I ain't got it. Um, they don't even have the credit score to get a line of credit for the business or stuff like that. So that is something that we also have to work on is improving our credit score, because having a specific credit score can unlock doors. Investments, real estate, um, stock
I
market.
mean, I said the best investment is buy other people debts. That's the quickest way to make millions of dollars. If you buy people debts, you could sell it to them for a fraction, then you could take that. You could take what the payments that they're doing within the time frame and take it to a bank and say, "Hey, I have a line of credit that's being paid out and it's paid on time. So now you got proof that um, so even you're not paying it out of your pocket, you're having them pay it. And then you could just take more money from that from the bank and then buy more debt and then just keep doing like that. That's how those debt collectors, they make so much money because that's what they're doing, just buying debt. It's like they get it at a fraction of a cost. So if you're owing 20K, they're getting it for like what, 3,500, or you know, and then selling to you for cheap, but they're just building up a credit report for the credit that they just bought.
They don't want to buy my credit because they still gonna be they still gonna be ass out because they ain't getting it either way. You might as well just cancel that out and file that as a loss because you ain't getting it from me. Okay.
Well, the thing about it,
No, I understand what you're saying.
yeah, they bought the debt, so technically, the debt is cleared. You
Yeah, it's
just,
already, yeah.
yeah, it's done. So a lot of times people don't notice if
Whatever you
if
get.
it goes to collection, a lot of times your credit goes up because the debt is technically gone. You just they're reaching out to you as a third party saying, "Hey, I took care of this debt. Let me just get a little piece of something that I purchased, and then you should be good to go." But you know,
Agreed. Home ownership. Shanah, do you feel that your net worth has increased since you bought a home?
So at this moment, I'm thinking about more what I do day to day, what I have now, and what I can leave. So that's what I'm thinking about more. So I don't know if my has increased because I'm not, out here balling. But
Well,
for
you have
me,
equity, right?
yeah, but for me, it's more so look, I still have to eat and I still have to pay these bills. And the way my gas bill was the other day, it just, um, so right now, I'm not saying in the future, as I get the older, then I have to start thinking about what's best for my age and is stairs good? Should I find something that's one? So those are the things I'm thinking about.
Understood. Understood. The last thing was estate planning. That's definitely something that we don't do because black people feel that it's bad juju to talk about.
Oh, but that's why I said for me, I'm thinking about when I'm not here, what am I gonna leave? What, putting things in a trust instead of just leaving it all willy nilly. So when the time comes, it's not a fight, like they don't have to spend
And
months and years.
who you're leaving it to doesn't have to pay
Oh, yeah,
taxes
all
on
that's done.
it because it's in the trust.
Right. All
That
that's
whole thing is also something. So, practical steps for the culture and what you can do to improve your financial literacy because knowledge is power and financial freedom. My God, it'll change your life. I ain't get there yet, but I'm thanking God to be financially free. Amen. So, number one is checking your credit report. You can check it for free once a year without having to pay. Building emergency funds. More than half of us, if something bad was to happen and it was a crisis, you would have nothing to pull from because there's nothing saved up.
But let's be honest, for a lot of people,
it's hard.
It's hard.
to do that. If you're saving,
You preaching to the choir.
no. I'm not. I'm just saying for the audience. I just, I don't want people to feel like we out here boiling because that's
No, we're not.
okay.
We're
So
not.
I'm just saying for a lot of people that even I said that gas bill these last couple of months, I've been like, Lord Jesus, I don't know if I want to do this anymore because it's so much. And so it's hard to even if you save $50 a check. For some people, that $50 is a lot. So, I just want everybody to understand that especially with gas now for those.
If Shanah mentioned gas, one more again. We know our Trump out here messing with our brand. We know he done messing with that.
Everything. Con Ed.
We know.
And also, just to piggyback on the whole buying the house thing, please, there's a such thing as house broke.
Yes.
Do not buy anything that you know you cannot afford.
Yes.
It monthly.
Yes.
People who invest in house. Oh, I'm gonna get it. It's a trap sometimes.
Yes.
It's okay to rent.
It's yes.
Renting can save your life a lot. It's okay to rent till you get the amount of what you need to buy, but do not go into buying a house prematurely because you buying a house, all that stuff is on you. The landlord can fix the stuff. Right. My plumber came today to fix my tub.
Trust me, I'm thinking about it now.
My plumber came today. I called him. I said, I need you. I need you.
Trust me.
If I wasn't in this, I would have had to do it myself. And that bill could have been, so.
Shut up.
University.
I'm just like, how long before I gotta start thinking about an assisted living spot?
That's a whole nother can of worms.
I'm like, how long do I got?
Because you gotta literally be dirt poor to get help when you're
assistance.
Yeah. So Chris, as a newly emerging adult, how has balancing funds and becoming financially independent and stable, how has that transition been from, before?
Before what, being supported by a parent?
Yeah, I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
Everybody got to go through that transition period.
Yeah.
And to be clear, even
still
as
people.
Even as
grown adults, I be using my mama card all the time. I got my mama card in my app.
Son, let me tell you,
grown adults, and thank God for everyone who has a parent, an older sibling, an aunt, an uncle, a brother who can, every so often be like, yo, I need $25, can I borrow $1? Thank God for all of those people.
You ain't never lied.
I'm sorry, Chris.
Sorry, Chris, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Learning experience, I guess. Nothing more to it. Really? Sorry if that's anticlimactic. It's learning experience. Trial by fire.
Right. The 20s is that time frame. Like, that's where you're supposed to be making all of those bad decisions. We don't know at 20 something and whatever. Now, if you hitting 40 now, you need to have a little talk with Jesus. But other than that, 20s, that's fine. Yeah.
Not at 40.
I would just say start early. Like I said, get your LLCs. Put that money in the Roth IRAs. Let that money accumulate. Even if you put like $50 a month or per paycheck, by the time you hit 30, you got a couple thousands. Maybe 20,000 just sitting there, just waiting. And if you have it on the trust, you could take against it. So you don't gotta pay. Like it's like paying you don't have to pay the bank back. You're just paying yourself back.
Paying yourself back. But see, That's what I was asking, because we were literally just talking the other day about your is it 402? It's not 401k.
403B something. 403B.
Okay, we was just talking about that, so that's what I thought you was gonna actually expound upon, because with your job, what?
No, you said you thought I was going to expound upon it. For what?
Nigga, because you just learned about something.
I knew about it already.
About how to manage your money and how your money is being managed through your job. Like,
Look.
I think having a 401k, it was a blessing and a curse, because you knew that money was there and then you would borrow from it. You know what I mean? So I think that's where I messed up back in the back, and I wasted it away, honestly.
This is for the kindergartners that might be watching. Start your piggy bank now, okay? Build it up from now, because honestly, with these prices and everything like that, I wish I would have saved every dollar in elementary school.
Yesterday's price
is not today's price.
Yesterday's price is not today's.
Okay, so however you are able to get over the financial stresses of life, that's how, whatever you need to do it, that's what you need to do, because it's hard out here.
No, that's without
within the law. No. That's legal. Yes, that is legal. Whatever you need to do that, because it is hard out here for a pimp. Like Shanah done said gas about 14 times.
Yeah, because if you saw my bill.
Listen, PSC&G and me, Lord have mercy.
I wanted to call him the other day.
So we about to just be in here with snorkels on, because that's but yeah, that's what you need to do that. Getting predatory loans and how and be aware of them. Opening investment accounts, like everybody has said, 401k, IRA, Roth. Chris has the 403. Also,
413B.
Saving as much as you can. Teaching kids early. Kids like my little Sweeney, my niece, she needs to be taught very early how to save money. And community financial circles. Wouldn't it be great if the family was able to collectively purchase plots of land? Like the family had its own real estate, because the only thing they ain't making no more of is land. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm gonna just drop that on your lap.
Conspiracy theorists, you know.
And you going to Mars with Elon?
And
and scene. The future of Black wealth is group economics, corporate ownership, and opportunities. That is one thing that I have been stressing about us learning about, is MWBE opportunities, community investment, and definitely teaching the next generation. So, family, what is the moral of this story today?
Don't go to banks. Get a trust. Put the money in those stuff. Let it grow itself. Don't shop and not dine. You know. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
I think the moral of the story is everyone needs them to read. There's books. There's podcasts. There's so many different ways that you can learn about what steps and things to do. So whereas before we could say, oh, I didn't know, now the information is out there. Like you can even
Can you recommend a book or books that people can? I would recommend
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
I was going to mention him, but don't, because he is a Trump supporter, and I don't want to put no more money in his pocket.
Sure,
Robert
but even your enemy could tell some truths at some point.
Right.
I wouldn't say don't read that book simply because
it's a good book.
Try and get a. It is, but try and get a free copy.
Yeah, you could go.
Yeah, it's free online.
There's a such thing that people don't use that much anymore. But there's this thing that's called a library, and you can get a library card for free, and you can take out a book, read.
Make smart choices. The quicker you make smart choices, the earlier you make smart choices, the better off you'll be set up in the future. And the best investment is also in yourself.
Is
Educate yourself, whether it's reading or by any other medium. Educating yourself is, to me, by my opinion, the most important thing, for lack of a better term, that you can do. I can't, or I'm in no position to give advice on anything else, but I can speak to the benefit of educating oneself. So that is the crux of all things, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's spirituality, whatever you want to say. Education is at the forefront of everything that we do. So educate yourself.
I just got one more too. Get a business. There's so much money out there for everyone to have. So don't have the idea that, oh, I'm doing something similar to what someone has. It's like there's a market for something, and there's a market for everything. Like, it's just how you can market yourself to reach whatever targeted audience that you're looking for. But you'd be surprised that
they'll
there's a
find
lot
you.
of people
Your
that
audience will find you. Your tribe will
you'd
find
be
you.
surprised like how many people that have the same mindset as you and would pour into you just to be a part of it. So
To see you win.
And to piggyback on that, what he said, it could be just think of it. You could be the same bottle of water, but in different venues and cost different prices.
Exactly. Just remember that financial literacy is liberation. And financial literacy, as Chris said, educating oneself, as Shanah said, reading. I invite you all, spoiler alert for announcement, Chris and I are having a bookathon. We're having a book competition. And I'm on book number 8 for the year. Chris is on what number?
I'm on 8. I'm finishing.
We're neck and neck. So if you want to join our little bookathon, ain't even nerd. It's the bomb, because we reading all kinds of stuff. Right now I'm on FBI, the history of the FBI in the country, and Chris is on a historian that speaks in haikus. Like, his stuff is just mad perplex. But if y'all want to join our book club, we're on number 8, so you're gonna have to catch up.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
I think he's about to say something like he's on.
No. So what I was gonna say was, I can't find the actual statistics, but it's a great thing that you mentioned that, and I think that's a great idea to kind of garner communal participation in that, right?
Yeah.
But just statistics wise, right? The average American within the last, I believe, 20 years reads 1 to 2 books a year, I believe.
That sounds about.
Think about it.
Right.
As the representation that we have for our community, we're at 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right? There's a great, like, what we're doing right now is literally graduate level, professor level type stuff in terms of the magnitude, quantity, and the type of reading that we're doing. So it's not just quantitative, it's qualitative. If you list the books that you read,
we're not reading Green Eggs and Ham.
Correct, right? It's heavy philosophical, political stuff. Like, it's real, like, the things that we're reading can be of a contribution to the things that we're doing. So it's not just reading for reading's sake. Like, it's an actual participation in your own education, right? It's which can of course lead to other things. So that's all I wanted to say there.
Yeah. The open if you want to join. The doors of the is open. Come on in the room. Hallelujah. So yeah, hit us up if you want to be a part of that book club, and don't be lying and saying that you read 20 books already, because you didn't. But we'll accept you anyway. And let us know the titles of the books. That's also great because we kind of piggyback off of one another. We'd be like, "Oh, I just read this book. You should read it." And then he says, "Oh, well, I just read," because he just finally read Ta-Nehisi Coates' Between the World and Me. And I told him, I was like, "Son,
It's an excellent book.
This brother with a pen is he's sick with it." And then he read it. He was like, "Yeah, you're right." But yeah, so knowledge is power. Financial literacy is power. And us together, unity is power. That's what they don't want. That's what they don't want. But that's all right because we're doing it anyway. To my crew and the people I love that talked about me like a dirty dog because I just wanted to have some type of
We're trying to help you.
respite. I just wanted to have a respite.
Accountability. This is communal.
I couldn't even have respite without these people out here telling me I was just swine and a wretch. But anyway, to Antoine, Eve, Chris, and Shanah Dawn, I am the swine and the wretch, better known as Kyda B. Wells. Until next time, I love you guys.